so much for joining me at Crystal Clear. My name is Crystal Ruiz, and I have some special guests here today. I am talking with the mayor of Hemet, California, Joe Males. Joe, thank you so much for joining me.
You are very welcome.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good?
Yes,
Good?
Life is good.
It's good.
Yes.
I heard there are some really cool things going on, but I understand you have a guest with you. Who is this?
I have a guest because basically Hemet is growing. We're doing a lot of things in Hemet, and, especially in our economic arena. Economic arena, right? Okay. Where we're growing and bringing in business. So we hired a new economic development manager, and I'd like to introduce Ben Sandoval.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure being in this podcast and kind of expressing what we've been doing the past few months in the city of Hemet.
Yeah, you guys are really growing. Now, you guys are a population of about how many?
92,000+.
Is it really that
Oh
many?
yes, definitely.
Holy cow, you guys have grown over the last few
I
years.
believe it was 88,000 when I became
Yeah.
a city council member, and now 92,000 plus.
92,000 plus.
Plus, we have homes that are being built, probably around 5,000 by the end of the building.
Wow,
probably
that's
within
a
the
lot.
next 4 years.
Wow, that's a
Yeah.
lot of homes.
Oh, yeah.
So economic development, I love when we talk economic development because that means jobs, and jobs. So let's talk about it. What's going on? What are some of the exciting things? I mean, I know, I'll tell you, I'm an elected official. I can tell you there are things that he cannot talk about, and I'm not going to ask anything that you can't talk about, but I want to know. I know there's excitement. I know there's a lot of stuff stirring here in Hemet. What are some of the stuff that you can tell us?
Yes, well, first and foremost, great question. Is again, pleasure being here once again. Prior to my arrival here, economic development was non-existent for about 10 years. We got a new city council, new city manager that believed in making our prosperous city even greater than it is and is going to be. So with the city manager and city council and the mayor, they decided to create a position called the economic development manager. And since then, we've been hitting it hard. Now I've been in this role now for about 7 months now. And in those 7 months, we've done many things. Just recently, we passed our first ever economic development strategy plan that it includes 44 different initiatives in the next 5 years. That includes our auto mall, bringing in a botanical gardens, bringing in new festivals, events, and more importantly, all better quality of life. So overall, yes.
So is this a economic development plan? Is that what you called it?
The economic development strategic plan.
Strategic
Hemet Rises.
plan. Okay, so strategic plan.
Yes.
So it's going to give you all the details on how or what your citizens want and what your council wants, right?
That is correct.
The dream.
The dream of where we need to go and where we're going to go.
And then it creates a plan for you to follow to get there, correct?
You nailed it. Exactly. A nice little roadmap in creating jobs. Not in the next 10 years, not in the next 5 years, but in the next year, next 2 years.
Yeah, because you got short term and you've got long term. And because we're government officials, we have a 40-year plan, right? We do. We have to have it out that far. So it's good to have these plans. So it's exciting. So anything that you can tell us?
Yeah, so we have some great, overall, we have about 5,000 jobs in the mix in planning. Excuse me. That is in trade and logistics, manufacturing, hospitality, but we also want to bring in dollars into the city. So we've created a campaign called Discover Hemet. Go get lost in our city. There's many items available to visit, the Ramona Bowl, the Hemet Theater, and more importantly, the Diamond Valley Lake. What a beautiful place to visit and discover, hike, go fishing, get lost, and you name it. So we are in the fray of things in a sense that since the crash in 2008, Hemet's been in a very interesting position, but not sure why in 2024 we are in the best position that we've been in many decades. Because to create momentum for a city takes years, takes decades, may never happen. Hence why a lot of cities became ghost towns when the new interstate came out and Route 66 just became another route on ghost towns. We don't want to become a ghost town because we know that our friends to the south are doing some great stuff and we want to be just in a sense of thinking and seeing what's working for them and bringing it here. So overall, we have great businesses coming in, and as you stated, there's some items that we can't at the moment bring out, but once we're ready to develop that, wow, are we going to curtail the leakages and keeping people here in Hemet?
So let me ask you something, because you've created this plan, right? And I'm not going to ask you for any sneaky stuff.
Yes.
But across this nation, there are cities of all sizes. Now, we know that these large cities, LA, Chicago, Denver, New York, they have buku bucks. Small communities, though, like 90,000 people would not be small. It would be a big city back east in the Midwest, right? But we're considered a small city out here, or you're considered a small city out here. So is there any advice that you could give an economic development director or somebody in economic development in a small city or a smaller city anywhere in the United States that they could do that might help them?
Yes. Extensive research on labor market information. Know your city, know your target audience, know your population, know how many people own rent or buy, know their median household income. That's imperative. Average household income.
Current data.
Yes, current data is imperative, because when an investor comes in, and the mayor has been part of those few meetings there, they're looking for LMI now, not tomorrow, not next 20 years. You want to come in now, and you need to be able to provide that information. So as a small city, and even cities that may not be positioned right off the freeway, for example, some cities might be at a handicap. We need to use that handicap for our positive reinforcement, using that to our advantage. And more importantly, study incentive programs. Understand what other cities have done to lure in big business as a small city, and having a strong city council. That is important. Very fortunate here to have a great mayor and a great city council that believes in economic development, stimuli, bringing jobs now for a better quality of life. Because as the mayor stated earlier, we have 92,000 constituents, and this goes for every small city, even if it's 5,000 or 10,000, that believe in your city. In the state of California, there are 432 councils in the state of California. They chose Hemet to live here, and we owe it to them for a better quality of life. So understand your population, study LMI, and more importantly, know the developers and builders in your region.
Okay, I'm going to stop you. What's
Yes.
LMI?
Labor market information.
Okay.
The curse of knowledge. Everyone knows that, So thank you
Right.
for that.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Everybody, small towns, you never know what they know. We might as well give them the information they need to be
Absolutely.
successful. Now, Joe, I understand you've brought somebody else with
Yes,
you.
I did. I brought Christian Tikas. He's our community solutions coordinator. And with bringing business into our city, we need to clean up our city. We need to work on the homeless issue. We need to work on the trash and all the problems that are here in the city. So we
So-
hired Christian.
Before you go any further, that's a national problem.
Yes, it is.
Let's be honest.
But we don't
It's
want
a
it to
national
become like Oakland. We don't want
don't
it to
wanna be
become
LA.
like, we don't want to be Fresno. We don't want to be Oakland. We want to be Hemet with a clean city. So that's where
Or-
he comes in.
Or we want to be small town America where we're going to have a clean city. So he brought you in.
Yes.
And what do you bring to the table?
Well, I do have a lot of experience dealing with this sort of issues. And it's really just kind of relationships. That's how I look at it. The homeless issue is really a breakdown in our own nation, really. And so, for us to provide resources, those have to come with relationships. And
Okay, so I'm going to stop you. When we talk about a breakdown, what's the breakdown? Do you know?
so, a lot of the breakdown that I've seen is, you got everything from broken families, right, to even drug issues, right. A lot of these things are stemmed from, in my background, it's from broken hearts. And so when you bring resources, you should always bring the community around it to help them get plugged back in. There's messiness in people's relationships. I look at it, and you have to have the willingness to step into people's messes to help them, instead of giving or being a handout. You're really being a hand up to bring them back into that level of just being sufficient and self-sufficient.
And so what's your plan to do that?
So we have a couple plans. One of the things I started here within the city is our own resource department. It's called the Hope Department, the Hope Unit, and it stands for the Hemet outreach empowerment, sorry, Hemet Outreach Partnerships for Empowerment. So what it does, it allows us to be kind of the hub for nonprofits, for churches, for a lot of our county programs, to be that center of information to either refer or to, again, even deal with some of the things here locally. The city of Hemet actually has a shelter, and they have food banks. They have even drug and alcohol programs that most people don't really know about. So
They have their own programs, or they have county programs that are within the
these are either
city?
county programs, these are either nonprofits. So again, us being the center of information for a lot of these resources, we can help point people in the right direction for these sort of things.
But not like a city program? Like,
No.
you don't have a city facility that houses the homeless?
No.
Okay. Okay, and
And we
so,
leave that to the professionals, because I truly believe that the nonprofits are really good at doing those sort of things. And the last thing we want to do is create more bureaucracy and more government, you know.
well, that's exactly
Yeah.
it.
And so,
I'm glad to see you say that, because we're the neighboring city.
right.
Well, not only that, but we, once a month, the third Wednesday at 12:30, no, 1 o'clock now, we have nonprofits that come here. We have pastors from the churches that come here. We meet, we coordinate, we try to figure out what we can do to
Big solutions.
we talk about solutions and how we can counter the problems, and they get out there and they start working. And
How long have you been doing that?
oh my God, that's a year.
More longer. I think we're hitting
Yeah.
our 2-year mark
2-year
next
mark,
month.
yeah.
Yeah.
Been a while.
And have you resulted in anything new, or are you just still
You know
gathering
what has
information?
created is really a collaborative relationship. Now, you know, the city isn't this entity that no one can touch or really, you know, tap into for resources. It used to be that way. And so now we have nonprofits like, how can you help us really? You either get started, find funding, and with my background, either pointing people to grants and different organizations that are out here that are willing to help organizations get started into either helping the community, dealing with not only just homelessness. I mean, we're dealing with behavioral health, we're dealing with substance abuse, we're dealing with, you know, domestic violence, we're dealing with all sorts of array of things that are all just kind of the symptoms really. And when we're able to bring forth communities like, you know, the faith-based community, the nonprofits that have a lot of the other background in dealing with this, it allows us to just kind of work together as we should, as one big community. And so it allows us to be kind of a funnel to know, hey, this person can go into this program, or these are the steps this person needs to take to be referred to program A instead of program B, you know, and things like that. So it takes a little bit of kind of gathering intel, if you want to put it that way. But once you have, there's plenty of resources as I look at it. It's really of just connecting all the loose ends and really having people to know where to go, what to ask for, and really understand the process of some of these things as well. Because it's not easy. The homeless issue is a very complex situation. We're not just dealing with housing. We're dealing with so many different components that people kind of just see the outside appearance of it. But when you step into the relationships that these people and the experiences that they're going through, it allows us to have a little more insight into what the background is, right? You know, we're dealing with vets, we're dealing with elderly population that cannot afford, you know, means of living anymore. And so they're being forced out onto the streets and things like that. So again, it's a very complex situation, but it allows us to, again, bring the necessary resources that we've been needing. And I think a lot of it was just disorganization, not knowing, and it's really allowing now the city to be kind of that center hub for a lot of this information as well. So it's not going to be solved overnight, but at this point, you know, it does take a village, I tell people, right?
So are you running stats? Are you keeping stats
We do
on
keep stats.
everything?
Yeah, we have a third-party company it's a nonprofit company that handles our outreach. They are constantly giving us stats of how many touches of people that they're dealing with on the streets, how many from.
How long have you been doing that?
With this company? We've had this company now, in our third year now, I think
Third
it
year.
is.
Okay.
And not,
So-
not only that, but we partner with nonprofits, and there's an event coming up in October
Yeah, I was gonna
10th.
mention that.
Yeah, go ahead and mention.
So on October 10th, it's the World Homeless Day. It's actually a day that the nation is now basically bringing awareness to. And so what we're doing is we're going to be holding a large-scale resource event at Weston Park here in town, which allows us to bring all these resources in one location and to render services in a more quicker fashion. And what it'll allow us to do is also to gain a lot of insight into the stats of what we're dealing with. This will let us keep census information on what kind of families we're dealing with, the demographics, what are the actual services. And this allows us to compile this information, report it back up to HUD and all these different organizations, which allows now for resources to be freed, because it'll give, you know, the federal government a better idea of what are the needed resources that this valley needs. And so it's going to allow us to partner. Again, we have so far, I think, about 40 different organizations that are going to be slotted that day. And we're all going to be doing what they do best, basically, whether it's rendering homeless services, mental health, behavioral health, drug and alcohol, everything, you know, from the kids to the vets and to the seniors. So we're trying to cover all the bases for that day. And it's going to be one of those things where, again, our city coming together and us really just kind of being that partner that a lot of these smaller organizations need to just have that availability to do these sort of things as well.
Now, at this event, won't we be able to, if someone wants to get off the street, they'll be able to
That's correct. Yeah,
put them in a home?
There'll be services that'll be rendered, whether it's going to be into a room and board, you know, some of the local shelters that are here as well, you know, and we also do have a motel voucher program that they have to, again, be referred through and really kind of intaked into their situation and what they need.
Let her know also about what we're doing, and instead of putting them in motels,
Right.
utilizing these nonprofits.
So the city of Hemet has gotten this really bad reputation that because we have 13 motels, that all the county resources can utilize them to give free housing for people. And unfortunately, a big percentage of those motels are not adequate, healthy environments really for a person that's either wants to get off the streets, especially if they're dealing with substance abuse and things like that. So I'm in process of forming a room and board housing coalition within our valley of all the different room and boards and sober livings and all those different things that will allow now not only our services, but county, even at that level, to start going down that list instead of just resolving to using our motels for temporary housing.
We're trying to fix the problem, not just put a Band-Aid on it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
with
That's important.
that is important, very
So
important.
I'm going to ask you some policy things. So bear with me for a few moments. So most of you folks don't know my story. I was in a high-paying job. I got hurt on the job, and I ended up going through my 6 months savings in 6 months. I was put in a wheelchair, told I'd never walk again, and I ended up homeless. I lived in a tent for 5 years. I was homeless.
Wow.
And so I know the
Very well.
situation.
Yes.
So the first thing I want to ask before I get to policy, before I forget, is do you know how many contacts that you have to make in order for them to say yes to help?
It's at least a dozen. different
A dozen?
ones. Yeah.
It's 100. It's 100, 100 contacts. That's a standard. And the reason being, they don't trust government. So some of them don't want the help.
Oh, you're talking about how many contacts
That you have to make.
Yeah,
Right, it's 100. It's 100 contacts. So you have to be prepared for that.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to take a long time for the program to get going, and it takes a long time to work through. But you're on the right track. You are absolutely on the right track. We have to keep going back to them and letting them know that it's going to be okay. One of the things that we found, and I can tell you from experience, is people don't want to lose their children.
Right.
So what do? They hide.
It's a trust issue. That's
Yeah, they
what
hide.
it
They
is.
don't
It's a
want. They don't
trust
want to lose their
issue.
kids. They don't want to lose their animals. That's another one.
Oh, yeah.
Because they go into a program. Guess what? Their animal's gone, and then they put them down to sleep, and that's what they're thinking.
Oh, I know.
You know. So we have to break through that. That's something that the county has to do. They have to get that message across. You could say it, but if the county doesn't deliver it, they're going to take the kids.
I believe the county is aware of that now
We-
because
well,
they are finding facilities that
I've
they
told
can take
them, and I've told the governor, same thing. So hopefully, at some point, they'll listen to us.
Hopefully, yeah.
But this is a problem that's not just Hemet, San Jacinto,
No.
California. This goes across the nation.
It does.
It goes across the nation. And I'll tell you from my experience, when I was homeless, it was not accepted. It wasn't something that you could do put a tent somewhere and get away with it. If you put a tent somewhere, you better be in a place where tents are allowed, or you better
Someplace very secluded.
yeah, you better hide, because if you got caught, you were going to jail. Same with building a house out of cardboard. You couldn't do that. You couldn't squat in someone's house. Now we find squatters who are homeless people that go into houses that are not being lived in, and then guess what? They have to be evicted.
Yep.
And in fact, you also have to do that here in California if they're on a property longer than so many days. So you have to watch how long they're living on a property. You have a property out, it's the rural property, and they go out there and they stay there so many days, and then all of a sudden they have to be evicted. You have to go through a whole eviction
Yeah,
process. It's
yeah.
crazy.
It's costly.
It's absolutely nuts. You go back east, you're in the west somewhere, Midwest to West, and you go on somebody's property, you squat in their house, they're coming after you with a gun.
Yep.
You're going to leave.
Yeah, Florida's doing that.
It's not, yeah, it's not accepted. That's the thing. The secret is they don't accept the behavior. And we
Except
accept it. Why? We're the ones that pay taxes, right? I would never have thought to do any of that. That was not, I hid the fact that I was homeless. You would never have known. I knew where to get a shower. I knew where to get cleaned up. I did my physical therapy. I tried to learn to walk again. I was told I'd never walk again. It was one step after the next, and slowly getting out from under that system, getting out from under the workers' comp system,
Right.
and finally, I learned to walk again without the medical doctors, because sometimes medical doctors are wrong.
Yeah.
As my future husband told me, when they told me I was never going to walk again, he said, "You're just a number to the doctor. You're just a number, and they don't know you." And that's the truth. They don't know us.
Right.
So we have to take that step. But so I'm going to go on to policy, and we're going to talk and not really in depth, but California has made it so difficult for us at the city level to handle the homeless issue.
Correct.
They have done everything they can to tie our hands. Now, only after the Supreme Court says you can't do this, that the homeless people you can remove them off of state property. Did they do that? But did they do it for the cities? Do you know?
yeah.
Yes, now they have. I mean, it's basically with the whole grants pass overturning.
But it's not. It's not overturned to the cities. So here's the issue. The issue is the same thing that it was before. And when you look at the whole thing, you got to step back and you got to look at it from the big angle.
Like the bird's
Okay?
eye.
Yeah, it is. Take a look at the big picture here. They have said that you can do it off of the state property, but the city property is something that they told us we had to do. The state told us we had to do this. So that's a whole different one.
Right.
So technically, no, we can't. But we have to do something, right? We have to have ordinances in place, good ordinances that say they can't do that on the city property, which we've done. And I'm sure Hemet's done.
Oh, we've
Yeah.
done that. Yeah.
And so once you've done that, then you're pretty protected. But then we have to say, okay, we've got a city park that houses the homeless. Are we going to tolerate it there or not? What are we going to do to clean up our parks? We have children who want to play there or who play there.
Right.
It's not safe for them.
Well, and again, it boils down to policy, but also enforcement.
Right.
And so now I think we're getting to the point where the policy has been passed. And now we've been so used to this, not enforcing, but now I do believe even our own PD is enforcing the no camping rules,
Right.
Things like that finally. And because again, our citizens deserve the right to utilize a public instead of a public park instead of worrying about someone either defecating or using drugs on the property.
Well, worse, you go to the Walmart. I go to the Walmart, at night. That's I'm running from 6 or 7 in the morning all the way through. I can do my shopping at 9 at night because all my meetings are done. I'm doing it there, and I go into the Walmart, and there's homeless everywhere. And it's like, what do we do about that issue? And it has to be a partnership with the city, and it has to be a partnership with the business owners, right?
Yes.
And we have to stop saying it's acceptable behavior. True?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, true.
We're getting there.
Well, we are together.
Yeah.
It's a long haul, and we have to work together as cities across the nation to do this. Now, some of the things that we have to do, and is to stop accepting it, right? Because it wasn't accepted when I was, and that's why you didn't see many. Okay, so we have to stop allowing them to camp under the underground,
Right.
underpasses. We have to stop allowing them to put them in the riverbeds.
Oh yeah.
And then worse, when you have a rain or a flood, what do? The water comes down that thing and they shove the people before, oh, you've got a big alert because they got the free phones. You have to get out from under the bridges. So they get out from under the bridges, and where exactly do they come?
They come back out into the streets.
Into the streets, into our cities. And then we have no way to take care of the situation. So our hands are kind of tied. The policy that I taught them a long time ago in San Jacinto. You really need to do three things. There's three options in San Jacinto. We've got the help for you, and it doesn't matter what the situation is. We can help, just like Hemet. Most cities can help you. They have some option for you, right? So we can do the help, or you can leave.
Right.
If you don't want either one, you can't stay. And if you don't want to leave, there's only one other option.
Right.
And that option is, and enforcement means jail. It means, okay, you have a weapon on you, because I'll tell you, as an experienced homeless person, if you are homeless, you have some type of a weapon, or you would be attacked every night. And it doesn't matter, male or female, you would be attacked every night. So you have some type of weapon on you, or there's a warrant. So which is it, weapon or warrant, and do you want the help? And so that's where we are offering, we as elected officials have to get together with our groups like what you're doing and what our police department's doing, and say, hey, these are the options we should be pushing. Let's make sure that everybody knows these standards, that we aren't feeding people in the park that we shouldn't be. Let the nonprofits handle it.
Yeah.
The nonprofits are in those businesses, and that's what they're there for. And I'll tell you, folks, right now, before we take a break, I'm going to tell you there's $24 billion missing out of the state of California budget that was supposed to go for homelessness. So if we want money, that state government owes us the money to take care of the problem, and by God, our governor should fork the money over.
Yes.
And if you know your state, you better check on your state too, or check on with your cities. Most of your cities are like us, and we want to take and do the right thing, but we need the capital, the money to do it. And we can't afford it in these economic times.
True. Yeah.
But I'm going to go ahead, and we're going to see you on another day. And Joe and I are going to continue right after this break. So let's take a word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Thank you.
Introducing a revolution in roofing. The elegance of Spain now in metal. At LCA Metal, we blend artistry with strength. Our metal sheets capture the classic charm of Spanish design while offering unmatched durability. Resistance to all weather, our sheets are as tough as they are beautiful. These sheets promise longevity and style. With LCA Metal, your roof becomes a statement. Proudly made in San Jacinto, California, our sheets are a testament to American craftsmanship and innovation. Each piece is crafted with precision and care, ensuring the highest quality. In San Jacinto, we not only embrace tradition, but also push the boundaries of technology to bring you the best in metal roofing. Choose LCA Metal for a roof that stands the test of time. Environmentally friendly, energy efficient, and stunningly beautiful, our metal sheets are more than just a choice. Call or visit us today at 951-654-2874.
Thank you for joining us again. I am Crystal Ruiz, and I'm back with Mayor Joe Males. Now, Joe, I have heard this story before, and it's, for me, a lot of elected officials get into politics for different reasons. Most of them not the gut-wrenching story that you have to tell. And so I want people to know who you are, and why you got into politics. So what's the reason that you jumped into the political arena?
Well, basically for him, my son, my youngest, who was murdered in Hemet in 2016.
How old was he?
29 at the time.
Oh, my.
Yeah, 29. Went overseas, went to the Persian Gulf, came home safe, and just to get murdered in Hemet. So it was terrible. One of the worst things we ever went through. And yeah, it really hurt because he was my baby and did everything that I did and rode a motorcycle because I rode a motorcycle. Went into the Marine Corps because I went into the Marine Corps. And it was hard.
Came
very
home
hard.
to visit you and
Well, he came here for Father's Day to visit for Father's Day, and the day before was my daughter's birthday, so they all went out, and then in the process, they got jumped by people, and he wasn't even with them when that happened, but he seen it from afar because he was waiting for his cousin to pick him up, so he ran there to help, and in the process got stabbed.
holy cow. And did they catch the guy?
Well, initially they didn't. That's why I got into politics. 5 years, the case went cold. And one of our council members at the time, Carly Meyer, who's no longer with us, God bless her heart, she told me if I wanted the case reopened and solved to get into council and that I would be able to do that. And so I listened to her. We were on the phone at the time and we hung up. I drove from the house that I owned at the time that was in a different district to move to District 4 because that's the district that was running. And I drove and got there was so much work being done on the streets at the time. And so I got rerouted here and there and then ended up on a cul-de-sac with a house for rent. So I said, oh, God's talking to me. And I called the lady and told her I was interested in the house, and she had basically told me that she promised the gentleman that he wanted to come and look at it on Saturday, and this was Thursday, and she said she would hold it till Saturday for him to come and look at it and see if he was interested. And I laughed and said, oh, he's not going to show up. You'll rent it to me. And so, I'll be waiting for your call. And she giggled and laughed. And Sunday, I get a call from her, and she said, he never showed up.
Oh.
So she met me there, and I looked at the house. There was still a lady living there at the time, and an older lady. Her husband had passed away, so she was going to move closer to her family, and in the Midwest. And she said she'd be out that week. But during that week, she called the landlord and asked if she could stay another week because her house wasn't ready. And the landlord asked me, and I said, no problem. She can stay as long as she wanted because I had a house. I didn't have to get out of that house right away. And I figured at the time, since I signed documents, I was set to go and pull papers. So I went
So
and
pull
pulled
papers. What does pull papers
Well, pull
mean?
papers to run. When you want to run for city council, you have to come to and see the city clerk and then pull the necessary papers for you to run. So I filled them out, submitted it to them with my new address, and
And you were good to go.
I was good to go. Won by the biggest margin. I heard that any council member ever won, 57% of the vote.
Oh, wow.
And so I won, and it was disputed by a special interest group that had backed someone else for that district that they wanted to win. And so anyways, I ended up getting thrown off city council like within a 4-month period. But within that 4 months, it was unbelievable because the city manager at the time came and asked me, what's your priorities in the city? And I told him I wanted my son's case resolved. I want
the
it
murder
reopened.
found, yeah.
Yeah. And so within a week and a half of that time, I get a call from the district attorney, we're reopening the case.
Really?
In a month from that point, I get another call. We found the person. We went through all the paperwork. The Hemet Police Department submitted all the paperwork. But this was during COVID. So once they submitted it to the district attorney, it sat on the shelf at the
Forever.
district attorney's office for 5 years. So they didn't really look at it. So when our city manager called the district attorney and said, hey, we have a council member. His son was murdered 5 years ago. He wants that case open. They decided to go and
take a look.
and take a look, finally.
Wow.
So everything was done right here. It just wasn't done right there. So they said they were backlogged. There's
Yeah.
so many problems. And I can
COVID
understand.
caused a
yeah.
lot of problems, but that's a
lot of
horrible problem to
problems, right.
have.
So they found the person that murdered him. He went to jail and then got bailed out. So he's on the streets right now fighting it.
No.
No, yeah, he's on the streets. And so we're just waiting to see what happens.
How awful.
Yeah.
How awful. How'd you
Well, there's no
wife do?
justice in this state. No
Yeah.
justice for the honest working man. No justice. It's all for the criminal.
Yeah, you're right.
So-
I mean, most people don't understand the laws are a little different here in California.
Yeah.
They're very, very one-sided.
Yeah.
And that one side has decided, and I'm going to give you a little brief synopsis so you understand. AB 109 was the law that said that the overcrowding in the state prisons was going to be solved by shoving them down on the county,
Right.
on the county jail system, not prison. Prison, there's a difference between prison and jail.
Oh, yeah.
And the jails are short-term, right? I don't know how many
So
days
they were
it is.
releasing them. Once they
Yeah.
got there, they were getting released.
They were just
Right.
releasing them,
Right.
right?
And
And
guess
so,
where they were coming?
and yeah, well, and then coming to a city near you,
Yeah.
you know, and that's what, and then they turn around and they do Prop 47, which
That was
makes
the
it worse.
That was the worst thing they could have
It's
done.
worse. It's
Definitely.
worse. And I'm going to ask you to commit right here and now, because Prop 47, what this did for California was say that nothing is a crime, basically. So everything's a misdemeanor, slap on the wrist,
Yep.
go do what you want, and we're going to go. You can walk out of Walmart.
Walmart.
With a TV, a $995 TV, and they are not going to prosecute
Yeah.
because it's
They won't
not-
even stop you.
Yeah, they don't even stop you
Yeah.
because heck, something might happen.
Yeah.
You know,
It's-
but it's absolutely a sickness. And so I was having a chat with Sheriff Chad Bianco, and he was telling me about Prop 36. Prop 36 is going to resolve a lot of these problems. But unfortunately for us, the state of California is the one that determines what the language is.
How it's written.
Right. And so even though they wrote it correctly, the state reworded everything so you wouldn't vote for the proposition.
Right.
So Prop 36, you should definitely vote yes on. Can I get your commitment and support for that?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
I knew you would be there with me,
Prop
because
36, you need to vote yes on.
we have to vote yes for Prop 36.
And they're going to write it to make it look like it's not going to work for us, like it's against.
It's already written.
Right.
And it's horrible.
Yeah. So
You don't want to
no
read
matter
it.
what, and this was written by, it was supported by the sheriff.
Well, the sheriffs, the DA, all of them.
yeah.
In almost every county in California, because they're all up against the same thing.
Right.
But let me tell you, folks, this is something coming near you. If this continues in California, it's coming to a city near you and a state near
Yeah.
you. So you want to make sure that you understand the implications of policies that are made, because they affect real people, real lives. You should not have to go through this.
Well,
should not.
basically, I tell people, vote your heart, vote. If you're tired of what's going on in this state, you better vote the right way, or else it's going to continue. And all the lies that are being said right now are just a facade, just to make you think that things are going to be okay. They're not. They're going to make it look good for now, and it's going to get worse.
It is going to get worse,
If
and
we
we
vote the
see it
wrong way,
here.
yeah.
We see it
Yeah,
here.
unfortunate. I'm 68 years old. I've seen this over and over and over and over, and people just eat it up. And it's like, my God,
But I think
please.
it's worse now than it's
Yeah.
ever been.
Yeah,
I
it
think
is.
they've gone so far over that everybody's turning on them. And the reality is, this isn't left or right. We're all purple, frankly. There's extreme left and there's extreme right.
I don't like
Everybody else is in the middle.
I just don't like extreme, period.
Well, exactly. We're all in the middle. Common sense,
Yeah.
middle American. There aren't very many common sense people who
That's gone away.
run for political office,
Yeah.
Joe. There's only a handful of us.
Yeah.
Most people who run for the wrong reason. It's ego.
Well, I'm here, and what
you
I
know.
want is business, and we're getting pushback on the warehouses coming in, but that's 1,600 jobs that are coming in,
Right.
and I get people in this office that call me, that come to the front desk and ask for me. I need a job. So I want to produce jobs in this city,
Right.
and that's what I'm going to do. We have so many things happening now, so many businesses that want to be a part of Hemet, big businesses, and I'm not going to mention all of them because
But you
they're not
can.
a signed deal yet,
Yeah.
but we have a lot of good things coming, and this is a pro-business council, and city manager and attorney, everyone here is pro-business, and that's what we want. We want business.
Something else that's important in this area, because I used to drive from San Jacinto, which is right next door, to Anaheim, 68 miles one way. I would go there at 4 in the morning. It would take me until 7 to get there. I would come back. I'd leave at 3:30. I'm lucky to get back between
7.
yeah, 6 or 7 every single night. So I know what it takes, and I know the importance of, and since COVID, everybody else knows the importance of those remote jobs. And so we really need remote jobs in cities like Hemet, in cities like San Jacinto, in cities across America where you don't have to drive in every single day to your work.
Right.
Even driving in once a month or twice a month would be great. But for the most part, people need to be able to work. We need high-speed internet. And one thing that we were promised is all this high-speed internet. Remember when we bought into all this? Oh, they're going to give us high-speed
that's the problem.
internet, and there's nothing.
Yeah, bought into everything and it never happens.
And
So-
it doesn't happen.
But the thing is that I want businesses here in our valleys,
Right.
San Jacinto, Hemet. I love working together with the council members from San Jacinto. I think we all should work together. We're neighboring cities.
Right.
There's no reason for us to be separated.
Right.
We should work together, bring businesses in, and get this valley flourishing with paying jobs that our kids that are coming out of school will be able to get a job, not just a fast food job, but a job in
Higher tech jobs.
Yeah, higher
Why
tech
not?
job.
I just heard, went to the state, the student of the month, that they're doing welding jobs, teaching welding.
Training.
Right,
Welding
teaching
training,
welding,
right.
not just for the students, but for adults.
For adults, anyone that's interested that needs a skill.
Right.
Yeah, so.
I mean, how amazing
Well,
is
look what
that?
the firefighters are doing. They were in, I believe, in Tockwitz. They have a fire truck there. They're teaching them how to be firemen and
I didn't
women.
know that.
Yeah, and now they're going to start expanding to Hemet High School. I think even West Valley at some point. So
Nice.
we are working hard to incorporate training for our kids that are in school right now, in high school, and are going to be graduating, because not everybody goes to college.
No, not everybody belongs in college.
Right.
And right now, with the way college looks, it's looking sadder and sadder.
Yeah, tell me about it.
But I've always been a big proponent of being your own boss.
Mm-hmm.
My dad taught me if you're your own boss, you don't ever have to work for somebody
I
else.
owned the networking business for 22 years.
So you know what I mean.
Yeah, I had 7 employees, 1 receptionist, nice building overlooking Greenleaf and Whittier, and I mean, it was the life. I lived the life, and the only reason I had to stop, my son took it over. I had to stop because I had a liver transplant, so I had to stop.
How
My
are you
son-
doing with that?
Very good.
You had the, when did you?
2015.
2015.
Yeah,
I didn't even know
almost
that till
died.
recently.
I almost died.
I didn't know
And that was really the thing that really hurt me, because in 2015 my family supported me. I'd be walking. I tell my wife, get out of the way. The Walking Dead's coming.
Yeah.
Because I was down to 130. I was
Holy cow.
shrunk up, and
Yeah.
and it didn't look like I was going to get a transplant, and thank God I did. So
Thank
when
God-
my son
thank
died
God
in
for the
2000,
transplant list.
when my son was killed in 2016, I was so ashamed for being alive.
Oh, how awful.
Because it should have been me. I should have died, not him. He had a whole lifetime ahead of him. Left 3 kids behind. It's crazy.
It's a horrible, horrible thing to have happen.
Yeah.
And to have it not solved for so long, and then to have the person out on the streets is a horrible thing you've had to
Yeah.
go through, Joe.
Well,
It's terrible.
definitely.
I don't want to end on that note, so we're not going to.
Okay.
So don't. I think that it's
Funny thing though, let me just tell you, we have elections coming up, and I wasn't going to run because I'm a person that is I'm an introvert by heart, and I don't like to be out in the public. I don't like doing a lot of things that I'm doing
you have to push
now.
yourself.
And I got to push myself, and I do. That's why I kept procrastinating when you kept asking me, "Come on, let's do this, let's do it." And I said, "No, well, we'll do it." And because this is not me, I'm a person that just kept to myself all my life, and I love my family, I love my grandkids, and that's my life right now. So I wasn't going to run, And then I decided, after talking to the pastor, after talking to other people, after my kids, my grandson goes to school, what's that, something K?
K-12 or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. So he's 4 years old. And,
Oh, TK?
Yeah, TK. And he comes home, Papa, they call me the mayor over there.
Aw.
And so, my older granddaughter that goes to Hemet High now, she told me, you should run. You should go back, stay in there. You're doing a good job, And so the family helped me make a decision. So I decided, I'm going to go for another 4 years because we have so much going right now. We have so much, we're just moving on all pistons right now with businesses, with just everything that we're doing with the Hemet Theater and how we're going to expand that, with the homeless situation, with
Downtown Harvard Street looks good.
oh well, we have the grant for facade grant that helps them fix up their buildings, businesses fix their buildings in downtown area. We just got the $35 million grant for building the homes that we're going to build on Menlo and State. And we're going to redoing our corridors out here and bike lanes and our bus station that's now at the Sears that's closed down. Our bus hub, we're moving to downtown area,
nice.
area. So we're doing a lot with the downtown. We want to make it like other cities are, where their downtowns are flourishing.
Like we always dream
wanna
of, right?
flourish, yeah.
Right. We want to dream of people.
Oh, well,
people
we're going to do it.
thriving.
We're going to
and-
do it.
Right. Well, we
And-
have to have a plan.
Well, we
That's
have a
first-
plan. We have
That's
that.
first of all.
We have the
have to have
plan.
the plan, and then you have to start implementing it. We
right.
have to have the money.
And we're working.
And we're working on it.
What we're doing too is we're working with our millionaires in our city too, and telling them, hey, partner with us.
Mm-hmm. Right, so
Partner
private
with the city.
partnerships,
Because
public-private
you're
partnerships.
builders, we're a city, we'll work together with you on permitting to
Right.
speed, to fast track it and
Right.
to get things done. So we want to work with them. We want to work with our influencers that are in the city.
Well, and these are things that other cities across the nation can do.
Yeah.
Because it's really important when you have elected officials to have that public-private partnership in order to accomplish things, especially in the economic times that we're seeing. Now, we know 2008, the economic times here in Hemet did hit Hemet hard.
Oh, yeah.
This used to be the richest street in America.
With
Florida Avenue. Florida Avenue
with
was
all-
the
yeah.
richest street in America.
There was a bank on every corner.
There
out here.
was.
Yeah. that's-
There was. And now, it's not known for that.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate. But you know what? It doesn't mean it has to stay there. And I think the more that you do, and as long as you stay who you are and true to who you are, you're going to make a huge difference in this community.
Definitely.
And so I encourage people across the nation, if you're good people and you really want to make a difference in your community, you can start it at school districts, but school districts are a little vicious right now. But school districts are a good place to start, especially if you're a parent. If you're a grandparent, you might want to go to city council. So parents can go to city council too, but you want to find a fit where you're there and you can make a positive difference. You should never be in this position for your ego or for anything. This working in a small town America, it's not like you're the mayor of LA where you get a couple $100,000 a year. It's you get what, $1,000 a month?
654 or 45
Okay,
somewhere.
so $645 a month to be the mayor, which is the same thing you get for council.
Right.
We get $370. That's not a lot. After
Well,
you pay for the insurance,
Right.
it's $81 a paycheck for us.
Well, one thing I believe in is that mayors should not have a job, because when mayors have a family, a young family, they have a job, so they're at the job 10 hours a day because
Any
driving and
council
everything.
member, it's
Then
a
they
lot
have
of
to be
work.
with a family. So when you're a mayor, you can't run a city, and that's why I'm here almost every day.
Yeah.
I'm here at the city daily. And I would come on the weekends, but I don't want to deal with the alarm system and have to
I have to go that route. Yeah, yeah, no, but it does.
I'm
It
here
takes out
daily. I'm here
40 hours a
daily.
week at least.
And I love it. I mean, I'm not here 8 hours a day, but I come 3,
But it
4,
does.
5, 6, 8 hours or 7
Yeah.
hours sometimes.
It
but
takes out
but
time.
but I enjoy being here because I want to see progress in this city.
Right.
I when I'm home, I can't see what's happening here.
Yeah.
And I want to be active in this city. I want to see things done because when city manager or our economic development guy comes and says, "Hey, you know, we have this, and what do you think? Let's do it. Let's go forward with it. Move it." Yeah, and I want progress in this city.
Yeah.
And I believe that a person has to be able to give most of their time if they're going to be the mayor. Just like in the American Legion, when I was at the American Legion, I was the commander for 4.5 years. We prospered over there. When I first got there was like $2,000 in the bank. They were open one day a week because they couldn't afford the electricity, they couldn't afford the gas, so and they'd be open one day a week plus a Friday for their dinners. And by the time I left there, we were open almost every day, even on Saturdays, sometimes
Wow.
Sunday. And we had at minimum of $42,000 in the bank. And which is not a lot.
That's still a
but
lot.
it's enough to sustain you for the next month and the next month if you keep bringing money in.
Right.
And that's one thing I'm good at. I'm good at talking to businesses, getting them to work with us,
Right.
and getting them to, you know,
Creating those partnerships.
Yeah, creating the partnerships, and that's what I like doing. And
And that's what you're good at.
I'm
That's
good
what
at
you're good
that.
at. But I'm glad you mentioned this because I know the importance of veterans to you, and I want to know, first of all, what does it mean to be, a veteran to you, and second of all, what can we across America do to help? So being a veteran is what? What is it to you?
Well, being a veteran is just it's a proud symbol of patriotism. I'm a patriot. I'm a person that loves this country. I'm a person that, when I was first brought into this world, I lived in a house that was really dark. And at 4 years old, I was put up for adoption. I was adopted. My mom was from Texas. She lived on a farm. My dad was from Missouri. He lived on a farm. A white man, a Mexican woman, and they met in Los Angeles. My dad was a Navy man, and my mother was a candy stripe girl. And they met. She had a cousins that were all sisters, 11 girls, I believe.
Oh.
And so they all ran together. They were all volunteers in a candy stripers. Mm-hmm. And my dad and his buddies ran into him, and he fell in love with my mom. And they stayed, they just, that one day, that's all it took. And when he shipped off that evening or that next day, he told her, "Don't get married. I'm going to come back and marry you." And he did. He came back and he married her. They couldn't have kids. They got in a car accident, and something happened where she couldn't have kids. So they adopted my older brother, and he was Caucasian, and I was Mexican. And so I was adopted at 4. He was adopted as a baby. But it's so crazy because being adopted is especially at 4 years old. Like I told you, I have my grandson that's 4 years old, and I look at him and I say, how could anybody ever give away a 4-year-old kid? And I used to be angry about it, and I used to have a chip on my shoulder. And that's why I got in trouble when I was young, because I just never fit in. And then
You didn't see the blessing.
I didn't see the blessing. At 29 years old, my siblings found me. There was other kids there, and they found me. And I have 3 brothers and 2 sisters.
Oh, your real sibling.
Yeah, my real siblings. They found me
wow.
at 29 years. It's so funny because I was out of the Marine Corps already, and I'm at my mom's house, and I get this call, and I'm there with a girlfriend at the time, and I'm hello, and she goes, "Oh, hi, I'm looking for Joe Males," and I go, "This is him." She goes, "Well, you know me, but you don't know me," and I didn't get anybody pregnant. I don't know what you're talking about. She goes, no. And she goes, did you know you were adopted? And I go, yeah. She goes, well, I'm your biological sister. And I go, wow. And
How did they find you?
Because there was an aunt that actually knew where I was all that time. And on her deathbed, she gave my sister all the information.
Wow.
So it's crazy.
What a blessing.
Life is so crazy, let me tell you.
So you have this huge family now.
Well, yeah,
right?
I have a family, and they're good. They're good people. I love them, and we get along. We're always talking, and Just life is strange, and you go through so many things in life, and you just gotta laugh and just say, oh well. you know.
Yeah, it is what it is,
It is
right?
what it is,
It
you
is
know.
what it is. So let's get back to the veterans.
Yeah.
What is there? I mean, I know you've been around a lot of them. You are one. You work through. It's the VFW, right?
No,
American Legion. American
I was,
Legion.
like I said, the American Legion for actually there for about 5.5 years, but commander for 4.5 years. And I was also an officer of District 21. It is the Legion that oversees all the posts. So I was in charge of 17 American Legions at the
Oh,
time.
wow.
So I was a central officer.
So you really know vets.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it was good, and I enjoyed it, and I love working with veterans. When I first got at the American Legion, there was a commander, and every time somebody came for help, sorry, can't help you. Here's a couple of numbers, call them, see if they can help you, because they didn't have funds.
Yeah.
And I sat there and watched veterans getting turned down from getting help. And I swore at that time I would never treat a veteran like that. I'll never turn them away. I'll never do that. I helped more veterans in that 4.5 years than I believe that any other commanders ever helped. And I made sure that everyone got help. You came to us at that time during my tenure there. I helped everybody. Anyone needed a place to stay, I would drive them to the hotel and get them a 2-night stay or whatever our limits were on that, and then give them numbers to help them to try to get help on the outside from different organizations. And I worked hand in hand with them and tried to do my best and not be like the others were and turn people away. Never turn them away. Even here, I try not to turn people away. I try to help everybody that comes here and asks, hey, I need a job or I need this, and I'll help them to a certain point as much as I can.
Yeah.
And-
I wish my dad had that. He was 82nd Airborne attached to CIA.
Oh, wow.
So he was jumping out of perfectly good airplanes
airplanes.
with suitcase nukes.
Yeah, wow.
So he did some pretty wild stuff. But when he tried to get help, he couldn't get help.
Yeah.
He couldn't get help.
Yeah.
And they misdiagnosed him for many, many years. And he ended up dying of pulmonary fibrosis from the exposure.
Wow.
And they still to this day deny. And
It's a shame.
How can you deny what you did?
So many veterans were sick from Agent Orange, from burn pits, from everything, and they deny you
They
at first,
deny.
hoping that you die, hoping that they don't have to deal with you, and it's a shame, that has to happen. We love our government, but we don't trust our politicians.
we hate the bad side of it.
yeah, the
We
bad
hate the
side.
bad side of
Yeah.
it because people get in, like I said, there aren't very, very many good, it's very hard to find a good politician, somebody who's actually true
Yeah.
and stays true to who they are. And so when you find somebody like that, you should keep them in office.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't care where they're at, but,
Well, that's
but you
what-
need somebody who's really true to what America was about.
Oh, yeah.
This country was founded off the backs of our
The
military.
working man, the military,
yeah.
farmers. There was farmers all back in the days, and
Oh, yeah.
and off season they would come and they would volunteer in government, and then
Yeah,
go
they
back
were-
home when the
they were
season
always,
started.
They were always in.
Yeah.
Yes,
But
absolutely. They were the ones
somehow
that
or
were
another,
there.
people made it into a lifetime job,
Right.
and it's a shame. It's a shame.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
But hopefully, we're going to see some changes. What kind of changes would you like to see for veterans?
Oh, there's so many changes going on right now. Right, we have the PACT Act now that's helping our burn pit veterans, and a lot of veterans. I've seen veterans with pipes down their throat, walking, and just they're losing life. You can see the life just going out, and that was from burn pits. And Agent Orange, what Agent Orange done to veterans. I just wish that I always dream of being a millionaire, making the millions and all that, and giving it to
Give it
all these nonprofits, all these churches, and all everyone, because, and I tell God, if I hit the big one, I go, it'd probably go to all nonprofits, everybody that needs help, even people that I run into that were part of the Legion that are struggling in their homes, I buy them a home, I do this, I do
Yeah.
that. And one of these days.
That's what we all dream of with that lottery winnings,
Yeah.
don't we?
Well,
Yeah,
mine is not for self.
No, but it's always for
it's
somebody
for
else. At
helping.
least
It's always to help
it is for
somebody.
me.
Yeah.
It was never really,
Yeah.
I've got what I need. I just want
Oh,
things
yeah.
paid off.
I'm
but-
happy. I'm happy. In
but,
life. I can live like this the rest of my life. I'd be happy.
Oh, I would like income. At least some income.
I would love to be able to help so many people that are in need. So
Yeah, that's the whole part about us being here
Yeah.
is that we're about helping those who are in need and
well, it's
like
better
you
to
said,
give than to take, and there's a lot of takers out there.
there's a
So,
lot of takers in
Yeah.
politics.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You have to be
Yeah.
really careful
Oh, yeah.
with politics, and you have to know the good from the bad. And I think when I first got on council, identifying those people was a little.
I can
challenging.
identify a shyster.
I can now.
I'm
very
good at that. I was raised
Yeah.
around these guys, and I know
Not me.
I know who's good. I know who's not.
I always want to believe the good of people.
Yeah.
I want to believe that they're honest and
Yeah.
they're really good people. And then I find out later and I go, what was I thinking? Now I've gotten a lot better. It's taken me a long time to figure things out, but now I can identify them really fast. And I know, if I'm wrong, I don't prejudge, but if I hesitate for a reason, there's a reason I'm hesitating. I mean, I may not know it yet, but it's coming, and I watch for that
Right.
reason, and sure enough, it sure as heck shows up. So I have to be, we as engaged citizens should watch for those kinds of things.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people just talk. They will say anything you want. They would think you want to hear. Those are not good people. They're not the politicians you want governing
Yeah.
over you.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we have a lot of them.
We do. We have a lot of them. And think about this. Think about how many are across this nation.
Yeah.
I mean, these are, this nation is huge, and there's a lot of politicians throughout this country, and if we as citizens become more engaged in what we're doing, we watch what they're doing, and we call them on the carpet. If you're doing something illegal or something, you shouldn't be there. Why are you there? Why are you in it for yourself? That always kills me. That one right there. Because if you're like we are, we don't make enough money to be in it for ourselves. There's nothing,
Yeah.
Mine's an
That's
$81
fact.
take
But
home.
when you start moving up in politics, you start making the money.
Well,
so.
you supposedly do,
Yeah.
but even the good politicians we have, and I'm going to be interviewing some of the former politicians that are really excellent people who are just really valuable members of society. They're still valuable to us, but they didn't make a lot of money doing politics. They made their money outside of politics before, or they found a problem that happened during, while they were in politics, and they went, we need to solve this problem, and that's what they committed the rest of their life to, was solving that problem, and that's where change happens. We have change makers. Carly Meyer was a change maker.
Oh, yeah.
I absolutely loved Carly. She was feisty. She
Oh, yeah.
was high-spirited. She would take anybody on, and she didn't care who it was.
That's
And she
true.
told you like it was.
Oh, yeah.
And she learned real quick. She came up to me and we were talking, and you and I were talking homeless earlier. She was talking homeless with me, and she had the heart of gold. She was so passionate about the homeless and everything, and it didn't take her very long before she found out what I said was true. And then she came to me, she goes, "We've got to solve this." And unfortunately,
Yeah.
she was sick by then, and it was...
Unfortunately. And it's so funny because one day she called me, she's at Weston Park, and she goes, "Hey, I'm here with a homeless person. I want you to come here, talk with me with him and all that." And I go, "Carly, I don't want to be over there with a homeless
Yeah.
person." But I went because it was Carly. And I sat there, and then, this guy was, talking and what he would want if he was to get off the streets, and it was demanding. He was
Oh, yeah.
demanding, and I'm like, Carly, I go, I don't want to be here. And she go, no, just stay. Watch, we'll get him off the street. We'll get him. And we didn't get him off. So.
No, and that's one thing that she said to me, that she learned you can't help everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone
But
doesn't
she loved
want
everyone,
help.
and that's
but
why I
that doesn't
loved
mean we
her.
don't love
Yeah.
everyone.
That's why I loved her so
Right.
much, because she loved everyone.
She
She didn't
did.
care who it was.
She didn't care.
She didn't care.
She didn't care.
just
She's a
loved-
fighter.
Yeah.
She was a fighter, and she
Yeah.
was a valued member of this community.
Yeah, yeah.
And I thank you for your time, Joe. This has been a pleasure talking with you.
Oh, thank you.
And you're good friends. You know that you have my support 100%. You're absolutely awesome.
Oh,
So I'm
thank you.
so excited for you, and excited for the coming months. Hopefully it'll be quick, right?
I hope so.
Hopefully it'll be quick and end well.
I swore after last time I would never do this again.
We always say that, and
I
then
know.
we go, something happens and it draws us right back in, especially if we love our community, if we love the people of our community.
Yeah.
Because for me, that's what makes someplace special. It's not the name of the city you're in.
Yeah.
It's not the state that you're in. It is the people who surround you that make it worth a while. And you're fighting for those people. And so when you have hope, they have hope. When you have that mission and that passion, they're going to have the mission and the passion. And you definitely have that. You are an absolute treasure for Hemet
Thank you.
and for this valley. So I thank you for your service. I thank you for everything that you've done for Hemet. And folks, we're going to see you in just a few days, because we're going to do something special. We've got a special guest coming up, and you'll start seeing the highlights for it soon. So we'll check you out next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.